Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome back to all of you in one more impactful session of Learning and Development webinar. My name is Pratibha and I'll be your moderator. So, if at any point you have any question or if you want to know more regarding the GSDC, please feel free to use the chat box. So, I hope you're all ready for today's session. Just allow me a minute to share my screen. Meanwhile, please do let us know from where you guys are watching. We would be happy to know that. So, just allow me a minute, guys. And we would like to know, what you're thinking about the session we are organizing for you, and the session we are getting you daily on the follow-up basis. We have also asked you to drop the feedback into the Microsoft form, which I'm sharing, and also the reviews.io. So we have received some positive feedback. So thank you so much for that, first of all. And we always try to improve our learning journey to make your learning journey even more engaging, dynamic, and insightful. So I'm really happy to see all of you guys are giving the feedback because it motivates us to do better for you guys. And also, we would love to connect with you on the platforms which I've shared. So I am happy to see you guys all over there as well. So I'll be starting the session now. Just allow me a minute. And actually, I'm having a little bit technical issue today, guys. So might be possible because of that. It's being a little bit delayed. So I'm really sorry for that. Just please give me a moment. When it happens while being on a session, live session, I do understand you guys are waiting for a very long time. So yeah, here we go. I hope you're all able to see my screen. And I really apologize for starting the session with little bit delay, but now we have started the session. So I hope you're all ready for that. Once again, a very warm welcome back to all of you in one more session of Global Skill Development Council, GSDC Certified Learning, the Learning and Development Reset, Redefining Skills Strategies and Business Impact for the year ahead, designing future ready skills that drive impact. And one of the things which make this webinar so interesting is the amazing expert panel we have lined up for you. Some of them have already delivered a very incredible and insightful sessions, and others are all set to bring in more powerful ideas. So for those who have joined with us for the very first time, let me give you a quick introduction who we are. Global Skill Development Council is a globally recognized certification body. We are accredited by ABICB. Till yet, we have a 250,000 professionals certified with us. We are associated with 100 plus training partners across globe. We are also partnered with 1,000 plus multinational companies and 50 plus universities worldwide. We have 500 plus subject matter experts with us who help us to developing our program. So these are the training partners who are associated with us from the Asia, Africa, Canada, Nigeria, Australia, Singapore, and many other countries. So a special thanks to all training partners for helping us improving our program. And a very special thank you to our media partner, WordPress Hub, for covering all of our press releases and event releases. So before starting the session, I just wanted to make a quick announcement that we have just launched a very unique platform called GSDC AI Studio, Lifelong Learning Initiative. In the AI Studio, you're going to get 100 plus live monthly sessions with global experts, including 4 daily sessions, 45-minute live expert lead session for hands-on learning, sessions from global expert. You can learn directly from our AI leaders around the world. Real-time practice, now you can apply concept immediately and get your question answered. Certification ready, you will be getting the training aligned with industry standard for job ready skills. So currently we are covering 100% certification in our portfolio, including the learning and development, HR, Gen AI, agentic AI, emerging technologies, ISO lead auditor and implementer, project management and PMO, agile DevOps and SRE, cybersecurity, digital transformation, and many more. But once you get certified with GSDC, you just don't walk away with the certification. You also become a part of our community, which comes with GSDC membership benefits, including lifelong membership, certification upgrade, workshop, boot camps, learning club access, also the full benefit of GSDC AI Studio, and many more. So with that, it's time to welcome our today's speaker. Today we have Vicky with us. So, guys, unfortunately, Vicky could not be available and as a person today for giving you a live session. She has come up with a health issue, so she has sent very apologies from her side to all of you guys. But she has sent a recorded session on behalf of the today's session, so that you guys won't miss a thing. And if you have any question regarding the session, any guidance, you can use the chat box for dropping down your question. We'll be taking this question to our speaker, and if there will be anything, like all the question will be answered from LinkedIn post and our blogs. So, but before starting the session, let me give you a quick introduction regarding the Wiki. So, Wiki is a creative edtech leader with over 20 years of experience in the graphics and digital learning industry, and is also recognized in the UK EdTech 50 for her impact of lifelong learning. She has driven major national programs in England, including the Students e-Mentor Initiative, the ETF Digital Technical Professional Framework with 175 micro-learning modules, and the Essential Digital Skills Blended CPT program to help bridge the digital divide. A passionate advocate of accessibility and innovation, she actively explored the use of Gen AI to enhance learning and development experience. She is also a respected industry judge, contributing to the selection of leading people and products shaping UK EdTech and serving on several national award panels. And the session is going to be today from Next Gen Instructionals Design Transforming Common Pitfall into High Impact Learning. But before starting the session, if you have any query regarding the GSDC, or if you would like to ask any question to the wiki, please feel free to use the chat box. So I'll be taking those questions to our speaker, and all questions will be answered through our LinkedIn post and blog. And once again, don't be shy. Drop your reactions, emojis, and quick comment into the chat. That's how we know you're with us, actively listening and absorbing from the insightful session. We also have an announcement to make at the end of today's session, which is a $400 worth gift certification voucher. With that, let me share the recording. So just allow me a minute. Meanwhile, please do let us know regarding your thoughts and everything. So just allow me a minute. It will take just 1 minute. I know it can be a little bit hectic to pay, waiting to start the session. You guys have come on our platform from a very busy schedule to learning, and we are here fighting with the technologies. So I really apologize for all of this thing. So yeah, here we go. Please do let me know if you're not able to hear the sound of the video. Otherwise, if you're not able to see the screen on or video, please do let me know into the chat box.
Quite a few here. Thank you. So, boring slides, couldn't hear properly, no chance to practice, no ice-breaking activity.
I hope you're all able to listen the sound of the video. If yes, please give me a thumbs up. Otherwise, drop a yes on the chat. So that's how I know that you guys are able to hear it. Oh, thank you so much.
It is too much content overload is often the case, isn't it? And taking, commenting, just reading from the slides is definitely not something that we want to do. Now, here's the thing, those frustrations aren't about you as learners, they're not because you weren't paying attention or didn't care. They happen because of poor design choices. And this is the thread we're going to follow. It's not the learners who fell, it's very much the design that fails them. And the good news is we can fix that. So let's flip that question and think about the best learning experience you've ever had. It could be at school, it could be at work, or even a hobby. What made it stick? What made a difference for you? For me, one of mine was learning how to create an AI generative using generative AI video and picture. And I had an experienced colleague who showed me once, and I had to do it for myself for a live project. And I made a lot of mistakes, but I got immediate feedback and I could try again. And that's how it made it memorable for me and very, very useful. So when most of us reflect, it's not the PowerPoint slides or the reading list that really come to mind. It's relevance. It's
I am really sorry, guys. I'm not sure what happened. Let me just share my screen once again. I really apologize for this. I think today's technology is not with us. So I really apologize for this. Just allow me a minute. I know it happens sometimes when we are very eager to learn about some things, technology always comes in a way. I hope it not only happens with me. So here we go. Um, I guess, are you guys able to hear the voice on the video screen? Please do let me know into the comment box. Okay. Uh, Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. Just allow me a minute. Let me see what is the issue going on here. No, it doesn't matter how much we think we have started to learn about the technology. Sometimes it can get in for the learning, right? So here it goes. I'm really sorry about that today, guys. Okay.
in a way that works for
I hope it's visible and audible now. Please do let me know into the chat.
us. And that's the lens we're going to use today. So I hope that's going to be helpful for you. Let's move on. Why? Because the tough reality is that research actually shows that up to 70% of training is forgotten within a week. Do you imagine 70%? Why? Because of what we call the knowing doing gap. People can know something in the moment, but they don't actually do it differently afterwards. I've had a lot of that actually. Think of health and safety training. Most people can recall it, the fire evacuation, for instance, fire evacuation procedure. And we can all recall it right after the session. But when the alarm go off 6 months later, panic sets in and we forget. So that's a knowing doing gap. And it widens every time we fall into poor design habits. And that brings us to our pitfall framework. So let's move on and let's have a look at our pitfall framework. Now, there are 6 big pitfalls that trip up instructional design again and again. It's about failing. Let me take my my laser thingy. It's about failing at adopting a user-centered design. That would be the most important one for me. Obviously, you've mentioned earlier on content overload and the cognitive, we'll look into the cognitive load theory in a minute. And then obviously it's about weak assessment strategies. Are they align with what you want to find out? Lack of applications and social learning, as well as weak measurements and missed insights, and overlooking the power of AI. Now, the structure for today is quite simple. We'll explore each pitfall and we'll run a short activity to bring it to life. And then we'll flip it into a best practice. So let's start and let's start with the first pitfall. The pitfall number 1 is forgetting the learner. And too often, courses are built around the subject matter expert slides or what the organization wants to say rather than what the learners actually need to do. And when we design without putting the learner at the center of it all, we miss the mark. Think about compliance module. And very often, those are just lifting text from a policy document. And learners don't engage and nothing changes. User-centered design flips it around. We start with needs and expectations, and we build learners' personas. Like, I don't know, the time-poor manager who needs quick hits, or the neurodiverse learner who benefits from chunked content. And we test it with real users so that we've got a taster group. When we remember the learner, everything else flows from that. So here is our learner-centered design bits. And let's bring it to life with personas. Imagine that you're designing a course on leadership. One of your persona would be a busy senior manager, and they've got literally 10 minutes between meetings. So they need micro-learning modules, maybe very short videos as well. Another persona could be a graduate, a new graduate, with loads of time and very little confidence. They may benefit from structured practice and guided feedback. Another one could be a global team member who often works in low bandwidth. So they need content that works offline and maybe in text form instead of heavy video. So we only design for, if we only design for the average learner, then we'll fail most of them. But if we design for those edge cases, everyone does benefit. Now, another thing which is really important when I talk about learner-centered design, I'm talking about conducting, obviously, training needs analysis, because you need to understand where the learner actually starts from. So having a baseline data is quite important to be able to measure the learning journey traveled. Validating the development of your learning objects with taster group will make a real difference. They'll be able to spot any content relevance issues. Establishing ongoing feedback loop is also really important so that you can iterate your learning content as and on you go. So it is constantly updated. And remember, especially if you're doing something around technologies, the world is changing fast and you'll need to update it anyway. Measure also success with ratings and evaluations, and that will give you an insight on the satisfaction from your learners. One reason user-centered design matters are objectives. Very often, we've seen objectives that are saying, by the end of the course, you will understand, you will be aware of. The problem is you can't actually measure understanding or being aware. So they don't really tell us if learners can actually do something new. Smart objectives will help us fix this. Instead of, for instance, instead of fire safety, understanding fire safety, we could say, by the end of the session, learners will be able to list 3 steps to take a fire evacuation. It's specific, it's measurable, and it's observable. If the objective is clear and centered on what the learner needs to do, then we can design assessments and activities that actually test and support that. The key message is really lost. It's impossible. So This is a good example of content overload. And if learners can't process the content, they certainly can't apply it. And that's really the main message from this slide. And it takes us to our pitfall 2 about content overload. Overloading our learners, we've all seen it, the 80 slide deck crammed with bullet points or the e-learning module that reads like a textbook. The brain can only hold so much at once. And when we flood learners with content, they totally disengage. And I'm the first one to disengage. So there's a really, really easy fix. Less but better. Chunk content into manageable bites. Focus only on what learners must know and do. Use storytelling or rather than data dumps. A good question to ask yourself is if this content wasn't there, would learners actually still learn what they need to learn? And if the answer is yes, just cut it. It's not just about cutting content as well. It's about how we deliver it. If we rely on one activity or one format, learners will switch off as well. So we need to bring a range of activities and variety to keep people engaged. And engagement, as you know, will drive retention. So repetition can be powerful in learning, obviously with spaced learning and so on, but it needs to be relevant and it needs to be varied. Repeating the same task in the same way just creates boredom. So here, content overload is one of the cognitive load theories, and the fix is about dual coding. So dual coding is when you put information, you present information which is processed through both verbal and visual channels simultaneously, and that is going to create two separate pathways to memory and then enhance learning and understanding and recall. And then adding also some metacognitive strategies will add values and will help to make knowledge stick. Now, in terms of metacognitive strategies, it's about thinking about thinking. It's about encouraging learners to critically reflect on the ways they learn. And self-regulation by planning, monitoring, and evaluating our own learning processes will make a real difference. So self-questioning, for instance, annotating drawings, concept maps, checklists, and peer teaching, so that they really have that sort of dialogue between learners where they can share what they've understood and question each other. But the positive self-talk is really, really important. It's about encouraging and motivating positive thinking to build confidence and perseverance during learning, and adding some fun as well. Fun makes a real difference. Another cause of overload is ignoring accessibility. And I had a real struggle when I put together that slide deck. I was thinking accessibility should be at the beginning as part of adopting a user-centered design process. And accessibility should be by design, not an added thing. But well, I decided at the end to put it here because we sometimes assume that everyone learns in the same way, but barriers are everywhere. And really, accessibility should be in every of the pitfalls. So I've decided to put it here anyway. So if text is too small to read, videos without captions, jargon that non-native speakers like me don't understand, accessibility is not just about compliance. with regulations, it's very much about effective learning. It's about effectiveness. If learners can't access the learning content, then they can't learn. So think about options. They, such as captions, they support learners who are deaf. They also help non-native speakers, and they help people watching in a noisy environment, and even those who just process better by reading. When we design for accessibility, everyone wins. And this slide deck is not slide deck. This slide and infographic is from Worcestershire County Council, and the Worcestershire County Council has the Sculpt framework, which is 6 things to consider when creating accessible information. First of all, the structure. So make sure you've got a hierarchy with headings. So title, H1, H2, H3. So individuals who are using readers will be able to follow the structure very easily. Color and contrast are important, obviously, and that's a C for us. And using images, if you use an image, make sure you add alt text in the back end, because obviously it's going to help those with readers again. Links, make sure that all those links are named. Don't put click here, because click here doesn't mean anything. And then we've got plain English. Try to use very, very simple text, common language to everyone, avoid any kind of jargon. And then if you use any table to structure your page, make sure that you don't merge cells and things like that, or split cells and so on. So I think this is a really nice infographic. Now we're moving into our pitfall 3, which is about weak assessment strategies. Too often, assessments check memory rather than ability, and multiple choice quizzes at the end of a module will test recall. They don't actually tell us whether someone has actually been able to do the task, or if it is something which needs to be applied. So imagine teaching someone to drive. You wouldn't just give them a quiz on road signs. Having said that, road signs are important, don't get me wrong, but you put them behind the wheel and watch them drive. Well, in the same way, assessment should be authentic. If we want someone to handle a customer complaints, for instance, let's give them a scenario where they must choose how to respond. And that's going to tell us a lot more than just whether they can define a term. Now, formative assessment is really, really important. And it's going to really help learners understand how it is that they are progressing and that they're making progress as part of their learning journey. Aligning those assessments to your objectives, which are SMART, this is as well going to make a difference. And then, of course, it's about giving timely feedback, and that's key. And that's going to take us to our next slide, which is about constructive feedback and reward strategies. Now, I'm a strong believer in gamifications. In fact, I love playing games. I'm a board game fanatic. And I apply gamification a lot in everything I do. Feedback is probably the one thing that makes a really real difference in learning. The feedback needs to be constructive. It needs to be timely. If you give feedback 2 weeks after an activity, that feedback won't have any effect, or very little anyway. And it needs to be focused on what it is to be improved and how to improve it. So you could say, instead of, you could say, well done for doing A because of B and C. And have you thought about doing a D? That would definitely demonstrate E and F. And those things are going to help the learner identify what it is that they've done well or not so well, and why, and how it is that they can actually develop further. So it's that stretch and challenge sort of perspective. So instead of just marking an answer wrong, you could say, well, you chose option B, and in real life, that response might escalate the situation. Try option C. It will de-escalate and will reassure the customer. And that way, the learner will see the why as well as the what. And then there's the reward. So when I talk about reward strategy, it's about recognition. It's about telling people, well done, a word of praise, a digital badge, a leaderboard, seeing progress tracked over time, and reward will reinforce behavior and keep that motivation alive. So when we think assessment, let's think it in four. Assess, give constructive and positive feedback, and reward progress. And those 3 steps are essential. Now, let's try it. This is a little interactive activity, and this is a poll, so you don't need to put it in the chat. We're going to look at these 3 examples of activities, assessment activities. And you need to say which one is the most effective. Okay, so most of you believe that the second, let's be clear, nobody chose the first one, and well done. Nobody wants to read a 20-page manual and answer a multiple choice quiz. So that's definitely not the best way or the most effective way to assess that learning has taken place. Most of you have chosen number 2, and at 76%. And yes, exactly. Scenario and real world practice really drive application. Quizzes test recall, which is the first one, but without practice, knowledge rarely transfers to the job. And that's why user testing with learners is essential. They'll tell us if the practice actually feels authentic. So example 2 gives very safe simulated practice in applying knowledge and making decisions. Building confidence is definitely going to be there. It's good because they are in that secure environment. It is a role play after all. It's a step closer to reality. And it's essential, especially if you're working in a dangerous environment, such as a building site, for instance. So that's going to be very effective. Example 3 is going to be even stronger. Why? Because it is authentic. Learners apply knowledge directly in their real world context, and it bridges the knowing and doing gap most effectively. However, to get them there, you may want to do that second step, which is about the scenario and the role play sort of simulation. And that can be done easily in VR, for instance, or something like that. So the key message is very much that scenarios are powerful because they let the learners test their knowledge in a very safe environment. But when we go one step further and create space for a real world practice, that's where learning truly transfers into performance. Both are very valuable. So you're all right in many ways. However, the closer to reality, the stronger the learning impact will be. Okay? So I'll stop this and we'll move to our next pitfall. And the next pitfall is basically a lack of application and social learning. Now, I strongly believe in social learning again. I like talking to people and exchanging, so it makes sense to me. And really that example that we've just looked at brings us to that pitfall 4. It is about the lack of application. So knowledge on its own doesn't change behavior. People need opportunities to apply what it is that they've learned and to learn with and from other people. So think about cooking. You don't master cooking by reading recipes and being able to recite a recipe or knowing it by heart. You master it by cooking, by tasting it, by adjusting it, adding a bit of salt or pepper and so on. And often you'll be able to get tips from others in the kitchen as well. They'll be able to taste it and think, have you thought about adding some spice in there? So it's exactly the same with instructional design. Without practice and social interaction, learning fades fast and is tasteless. So according to Aristotle, we are social animals. So adding communities of practice, opportunities for discussions, sharing of effective practices and so on will give us a sense of being part of a community. And just as practice is essential, so is variety. So having a mixing, a range of different activities, discussions, scenarios, quick polls, hands-on tasks will keep energy really high and really prevent people from being bored and demotivated. So as I said earlier, repetition is important in embedding learning with spaced learning and so on, but it has to be reframed in different ways to stick. So how do you currently measure learning within your activities? So again, this is another poll, and Pritam, it's slide 17.
Sure.
So this time it's a multiple choice. And I think you can tick more than one. You should be able to tick more than one. So one of you doesn't actually formally measure training effectiveness. Okay, I feel very low. Learner satisfaction is important as well. On the job application, 58% of you are actually measuring it on the job, which is very good. And the business impact is obviously the most effective because then you can see why an organization should actually develop training, and what that training return on investment effectively is going to be. Let me take a picture of that. That will be really useful to reflect, for me to reflect afterwards as well. Okay, so I can see completion surveys, attendance can be very, very common. But the thing was metric actually they measure the activity. They've attended, they've rated satisfaction. They don't actually measure impact. If we want to measure impact, like confidence, competence, and performance back on the job, then you need to link it. And that's where the feedback loop is really important, and user testing also powerful. So getting the learners after, let's say, after a month of completing the training to say, okay, you've done that training. Have you applied it in your job? If so, what have you noticed? What difference did it make? Do you think it has helped you being more effective, and so on? So having that dialogue will engage the learner and will give you really important data as well. So it's very much about you at the beginning of the training to have baseline data, finding out through a training needs analysis where the learner starts from, and then at the end, looking at satisfaction and so on. So you get that data as well. And then a month later, or maybe 6 months later, you can contact them again and say, okay, what do you remember of that training? What is it that we could do to support you to develop further? Okay, let's move on, because I'm conscious of time. We've got now pitfall 5, which is weak measurement and missed insight. So this leads us very much to that pitfall. Too often we stop at tick box metrics, attendance rate, completion certificates, smile sheets, and so on. But as I said, this doesn't tell us whether learning made a difference. Did they apply the skills? Did performance improve? Did the learner actually feel more confident? So imagine, for instance, you're running a fitness program. If you only measure but how many people are turning up to the gym, then it's not going to tell you whether they got fitter. The same is true with learning. Measurement should tell us if people can do something better as a result of the learning. Now let's brainstorm. AI in instructional design. So that's slide 19, Pritam. So if AI could solve one instructional design challenge for you, what would it be? So I think it's probably going to be so does it mean you don't use AI as part of your job? So yes, when you're, it's also about thinking from a learner perspective. So some of you mentioned accessibility. So the language barrier, for instance, AI is going to make your content read in any language. Time constraint, reading difficulties where you've got text to voice, for instance. When you've got too much content, you can actually compress it, and it can add confidence to the learners. So I see some really, really good answers. And translation, personalized support, simplifying content, and generating ideas and scenarios and so on. So yes, those things are exactly the barriers that AI can really help us tackle. And you're right, AI has got a huge potential. and it can make learning far more personalized. So we're looking at adaptive AI as opposed to generative AI when we look at personalization, more accessible and more efficient. But it only works if we test it with learners again. Otherwise, there is a risk that we reinforce bias and create new barriers. So AI should really amplify inclusion and not reduce it. So AI is there not to replace instructional design, but it's here to amplify it. And it's for us to be responsible and to make sure that design learning is more personalized, more accessible, and more impactful. I've got the impression I'm repeating myself right now. Okay, so that's pitfall 6, which is about overlooking AI. Some designers are just going to ignore it entirely and missing on opportunities. Others are going to rush in and just use it uncritically. And that may create bias or inaccessible output. The best path is in the middle, really, using AI to support design while keeping learners at the center of everything you do. For example, AI can generate the captions instantly and provide translations or create adaptive practice tasks. But it can't replace your judgment as a human designer. So our role is to make sure that AI is used responsively with empathy and awareness. It can be it will make a real difference. So in terms, if we have a look here on the slide in terms of personalized learning path, I'm thinking about tailoring pace, for instance, with adaptive AI, where you can actually have practice activities repeated to individual needs and instead of one fits it all. Learners get targeted reinforcement where they struggle and accelerated pathways where they show mastery. And that is going to help them be resilient and motivated and not get bored. There's nothing worse than being checked again and again on things you already know. For designers, this means shifting from building a linear course and designing adaptive learning ecosystem. And that's the difficulty, isn't it? In terms of accessibility, I've already mentioned quite a few. It's about converting text into speech, reducing barriers for learners from different languages, abilities, and contexts. So those things are going to be quite powerful. And then there's impact. A lot of you in the chat mentioned analytics and data, and AI really does enable smarter analytics. It's going to be moving beyond completion and surveys to really reveal patterns in engagement, application, and performance. And that's where you're going to be able to see, something must be going wrong here, because everybody is moving through that really slowly or really fast. And that usually says something, doesn't it? So it's not just about seeing who completed the course, but who applied themselves into that course. And that intervention makes a really big difference. And it's about responsible use as well. So it's about, so it's all about the risks here on the slides. It's about bias in data, inaccessible interfaces, over-reliance on automation. So it needs to be tested. And again, it needs to be tested with a diverse user group so that you can really get feedback from different perspectives. Embedding ethical guidelines is important, and always prioritizing learners' trust and transparency. So the goal is to use AI as an amplifier of human-centered design and not a replacement for everything. It is a catalyst for more personalized, accessible, and impactful learning experience. It's a tool, nothing more. Now, your framework for success. Now, we've got, do you remember we were looking at with pitfalls, and now we've shifted that framework and looking at it from a positive um, view. It's about success, isn't it? So it's very much about starting from the learners, creating smart objectives, and making sure that you adopt a user-centered design process. You design for inclusion, so you make sure that all learners can access and engage. You leverage AI wisely, use it to personalize and scale, but always test with learners and measure for impact. Track what matters: confidence, competence, and performance. And if you remember nothing else today, remember these frameworks. It turns pitfalls into best practices. No content overload, bite size, reward strategies, as well as positive, constructive feedback to encourage perseverance and motivate learners. Design smart assessment and measure what matters authentically as much as possible. So your challenge, and you can see it right at the bottom of the slide, is to choose one pitfall to avoid and one strategy to apply in your next project. Even if it's a small shift, it can transform your learning and the learning impact, not so much your learning. Well, it will apply your learning from today, but most importantly, it will also transform the learning that you deliver. And thank you very much for
So, first of all, thank you so much, Vic, for sending the recording, and we wish to get you well soon. We are hoping to having you in the live session next time. So, participant, if you have any question, please feel free to use the chat box. I'll be taking those questions to the wiki, and we will be answering all of the question into the LinkedIn blog and LinkedIn post on our blog. And moving forward, for wrapping up the session, not keeping your time just allow me a minute to share my screen. So, if you guys are ready for getting the certification into learning and development, the certifications are available on our website now. We are also giving a complimentary coupon code to all of our participants, which will give you a 20% off. And once you will if you want to, this offer is for a very limited time of period. So make sure you're taking the advantage of it. So if you're ready to get certified into learning and development, check out our website, use the coupon code link, and opt for the certification. So I am seeing a question into the chat that Pratibha, if we can get a little more information on next gen ID, it will be handy. So Prabhakar, I will be taking this recommendation to our management, and we will be trying to have one more session on next gen ID, which will be a little bit more detail and with more clarity. So we'll try our best to deliver you this session. And thank you so much to all of the participants uh, for dropping a positive response for this. I'm very glad to see all of this. And some more, Prabhakar is saying some more use cases, etc., how AI is being applied. Sure. I will be taking this suggestion. I will be taking this request to my management. Then we'll have a speaker who will deliver on this session accordingly, which will be more detail and more clarity. And if Vicky is like how soon Vicky will be getting well, so we'll try to have her also for the same session in detail clarity. So I hope that answer your question, Prabhakar. And if so, but wrapping up this before wrapping up the session, I just wanted to make an announcement regarding the utility tool. So since the utility tool I have started introducing, I have actually started receiving a positive response from the participant who are currently on their job hunting journey, how this tool has been a lot of helpful for them. So what you can do, if any of your peer colleagues, otherwise you are looking for a job change, so they can take the help of utility tool. They can log in into utility tool by using the LinkedIn ID and password, and it will give you a recommendation according to the job designation you're targeting and the industry you're targeting, and it will re-improvise your LinkedIn profile. It will stand out your resume in front of the HRs and recruiters. So if we are also giving a complimentary coupon code to all of our participants to make their job hunting journey even a little bit more easier, and this code will give you 100% off for using this utility tool. So if you're on your job hunting journey, I will strongly recommend you to taking the help of utility tool. Use the coupon code link, get 100% off, and make your job hunting journey even more easier. Also, all the best to all the job hunters out there. So, as today we had an amazing and insightful session from Vicky. So, tomorrow we are going to have one more impactful and insightful session with Dr. Anand. He is going to give the session on the topic micro learning in the digital age, designing bite sized learning experience for maximum impact and engagement. This will be at the same time tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Central, 11:30 p.m. Singapore, 9 p.m. Indian, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. So, I'm hoping to see you all tomorrow as well. And if you're an ISO enthusiastic people, then this session is for you. We have added a lot of new trends and modules into the ISO from 2nd Fab to 6th Fab at 8:30 a.m. Central, 10:30 p.m. Singapore, 8 p.m. Indian, and 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And if you're a person who loves to learn regarding new AI trends and technology, then this webinar is for you. So this is being conducted from 2nd Fab to 6th Fab at 7:30 a.m. Central, 9:30 p.m. Singapore, 7 p.m. Indian, and 8:30 a.m. Eastern. With that, it's time to celebrate our referral champions. We have Manu Durgesh, we have Olugua, and we have V. Venkatesh. So, special thanks to all three of you for helping us amplify our initiative and reach it to the wider global audience. You can also become one of our knowledge professional and advisors. So if any of your peer, colleagues, and professional wants to join for this webinar or any other webinar, you can refer the registration link which you will find onto our website. And what you have in this, you will get a referral point for every referral. And once you hit a 50 referral point, you will be able to get a free $400 worth gift certification voucher. But also, this offer is for a very limited time of period, so make sure you're taking the advantage of it and become one of our knowledge professionals and advisor. And if you would like to be one of our speaker for learning capsules, for webinar, for podcast, for learning and development, AI, ISO, otherwise for any other session, we would love to have you over here. So you can reach out to us at pratibha@gsdccouncil.org and preetham@gsdccouncil.org. I have sent the email ID into the chat box so that you don't miss out, guys. These are the platforms where you guys can connect with us. Our LinkedIn profile, our WhatsApp, our website. Also, we would love to hear your feedbacks. We would love to know your session key takeaways and outcomes. So please do drop your suggestions on reviews.io regarding the feedback and suggestion, because your feedbacks and suggestion help us to improve our learning program. So I'm sharing all of the platforms link onto the chat so that you don't miss out. To drop your feedbacks and suggestions onto the reviews.io. Please do connect with all of the platform for staying updated regarding our upcoming events and trends. So before ending the session, I see a question from Premanand that I would like to know more about the AI Studio as well as certification. Can I get any contact number? So yes, Premanand, I am sharing a contact email ID. Her name is Aditi. She is the contact person to whom you can connect regarding the GSDC AI Studio or the certification query. So I am sharing her email ID into the chat box. Please do take a note of it. Aditi@gsdccouncil.org. I've shared the email ID into the chat. Please do reach out to her. And with that, it's time to come to an event end. Thank you so much once again, Vicky, for sharing the recording with us. Hoping to see you. You will get well soon, and hoping to have you in the live session from next time. And thank you so much to all of the participants for joining into our learning journey. We are very honored to have you, and looking forward to having you in tomorrow's session as well. Till then, keep learning, keep energizing. Have a good day, good night, good evening, good morning, wherever you are.